Everyone, welcome back to my channel Lessons at Fingertips. Here we are going to discuss on some important topics in very simple words so that it is very easy for you all to understand. So today our topic of discussion is going to be business organizations. You see, if I tell you the introduction of business organization, this is a very important topic for people who are in class 9 or 10 or maybe in 11 or 12, even in your first year of your graduation you have this for the become students, right? So this is a very important topic and it's an introduction to the world of commerce, commerce and business. Okay, so here this is what the business organization. What do you understand by business organization? Well, business organization is an organization or an entity. It's also known as what? Business undertaking. Business organization also known as business undertaking. Now this is not only an organization, it's an entity, okay, which is engaged in some industrial or commercial activities. Now you need to understand one thing. We already know, that what are these commercial activities? Something which is related to money, right? So definitely whenever we are talking about business organization or business, it is related to money. It is, why is business, why do people do business? Okay, it's done with a motive to earn profit, right? So definitely it's a commercial activity. Okay, it's a commercial activity. It's an engaged in some industrial and commercial activities. Okay, and business is directly or indirectly linked with the production of goods and services, isn't it? It's directly or indirectly linked with the production of goods and services. I guess I have written it here. Yes, directly or indirectly engaged in the transfer of goods and services. Yes, it's not only related to just the production as well as transfer from where to where, from the producers to the end consumers, right? It's the whole process of the transfer, like from the wholesaler, retailers or other whatever the wholesaling markets, and for transforming the nature of the good, like that. So this is what the total transfer from the producers to the end consumer, the whole process is what? Business. See, people will be doing business like in transportation activities. They will also have this warehouse business. Why? Because the things, the goods are stored over there, right? So that is the thing. Now, this business organization, it can be, owned by a single enterprise or that is a single individual, or maybe it's in a form of two or more individuals, or maybe a lot of people are engaged in these activities, doing the activity together. So business organization can be owned or controlled by a single individual or group of individual, or it may be an informal agreement or a formal association. What does this imply? This is very important. See, whenever you are especially in this in commerce or in this kind of topics, whenever you are discussing the definition, the definition should contain the key terms, the key points, and those are the key points which are basically the characteristics even. Okay, when you will be given this question like define this particular topic and write its characteristics. So your definition should be as such that it must contain all the key terms and the characteristics. You can write it easily, you can plot it easily right from the definition itself. Okay, so now how written this thing in a point wise is that it will be easy for you all to understand. Keep in mind the key points, right? You all will be having books itself, so you can study it from there. But how can you understand, how can you keep the things in mind? For that reason I have written it in points, and the key terms I am mentioning it here. See, goods, the business organization, it can be maybe owned by owned and controlled by a single individual. It's not always that a business organization is always controlled and owned by a single individual. It can be in form of partnership, it can be in form of joint stock company, right? So later on we will be discussing the types of ownerships we have, right? If it's a single ownership, then we call it what? Sole proprietorship, right? And then if it's in terms of two or more people coming together sharing the capital, and then if whenever they are sharing the capital on a business, the share of profit will also be the same, right? So that is the partnership form. And again, we have the joint stock company. Later on, we will be discussing about each and everything. But now we are concentrating on business organization. Now, the next thing, business undertaking always has a separate and distinct entity. Distinct, it's a distinct entity, has a separate identity and a distinct business. What does this imply? Every business organization have a separate identity. It's not the same with that of the owner, right? It has got the separate identity. Also, all the businesses distinct from each other, right? In terms of the production, in terms of ownership, in terms of control, in terms of management. Like some of the business organization may be sole proprietorship, some may be partnerships, some may be private sector, in public sector. So varieties of business you can have, right? So here business undertaking is basically how are we dividing this business undertaking? How is the differentiation taking place? It's taking place in terms of ownership. It's taking place in terms of control, in management, right? More the people will be involved, the management is going to be different. The financing process is going to be different. Control will be different. So all the business all business organizations are distinct from each other. They are not the same, okay? They will be different in the management way, or maybe in the control, in the financing way. Anyway, they can be different, right? So that is what it is. Now what we are saying is independent risk bearing. Very important point. What is this? See, whenever we have discussed the economic activities or the commercial activities, we are telling it business organization is industrial or commercial activities, in performing industrial and commercial activities. Now, independent risk bearing. Why are we saying risk bearing? You should always be knowing whenever you are doing any kind of activities which is done with a motive to earn profit. With a motive to earn profit, it has a risk-bearing effect. The activity in itself will have a risk-bearing effect. Okay. So similarly, in every business organization, there is an independent risk-bearing, and it's got separate ownership. Business has got a separate ownership. I hope you are understanding till here, isn't it? I am going to tell you all a very important thing. You see, business organization, business undertakings, right? Now, business undertakings are basically of three types. What are the three types? One is the public. One is the public sector, right? What is this public sector? It's undertaken by the government. The government owned, the government owned business organizations. That is the public sector, right? Now, we also have this private. What is this private sector or private business organizations? That is the one which is controlled or owned by the private businessman, right? The government is not involved in it. Now, whenever we are discussing this basic definition, we should always be knowing that if it is public sector, implies the ownership will be state or central ownership. Secondly, this always have what? Service motive. It doesn't have a profit motive. It is intended to do service, to provide service to the public, right? So it has got service motive. It has got bureaucratic management. It has got bureaucratic management. These are certain characteristics that I am telling you all, okay? These are the characteristics. It is financed. It is owned by the government itself, okay? In case of private sector, definitely it's financed, owned by the private organization, by the private businessman. It has got what? Profit motive, not service motive. Private sector will never have a service motive. It's always having a profit motive, right? And the third one which we have is a joint of these two, that is public and private sector, and we call it joint. This one we call it what? Joint sector. Now, there is a very important thing. It is what? Engagement. It is the engagement of both government, the private and the public. Okay? Three things. Very important thing is here, you see, if you want, you can take this thing as per the guidelines given by the government. It is said that in case of joint sector, if the foreign investment is not involved, then government will be having 26% of the shares, and private will be having 25%, whereas public will be having 49%. And if foreign investment is involved, if foreign participation is there, then government will be having 25, public will be having 20%, foreign investment will be of 20%, and public will be having 35%. Okay, now definitely joint stock, joint sector undertakings, or the public private combination, that thing, this has got the features of both the public and the private sector, definitely. So it has got both the service and the profit motive. Okay, so you will see in you can take the examples of colleges. You see the government colleges, they charges very less. The private, why? Because they have got the service motive, right? The private colleges, they are charging like anything, nothing, like anything they do charge. So they have got profit motive. And the public sector undertaking, the colleges which are undertaking, they will be saying, you can see their actually charges a decent amount, which is not too much or too less, right? So you can understand it from there. Okay, I hope you have understood till here. Next, what we are going to study is earlier itself, that the business organization we have divided in public sector, or it can be private sector, or it can be joint stock. So what we have said, joint sector actually. So what is that? The thing is, private sector, whenever you are talking about the private sector, there is five different points. The very important is the sole proprietor. Then we have the partnership. We have again the joint stock company. Okay, we have again, there is this joint Hindu business, one is there, which is actually the joint Hindu business. Those are not very important. Basically, the joint Hindu business, what happens is it goes generation after generation, especially in the royal families. It continues, like the Rajputs, or especially in the Rajasthan or Gujarat area, they have this royal families, and generation after generation it continues those business. So joint Hindu business, we have another one, but the basic three important are these three. Okay, now one very important and very logical thing you must be having in mind is that what should be, on what basis we should select that what business we should go for. Should we go for sole proprietorship? Should we go for partnership or joint stock company? What should we actually do? That it depends on, first thing is nature of the business. What is the nature of your business? Okay, is it something like it requires lot of capital? Is it something where it involves international and national affairs which you can actually not handle by yourself? Then you can go for partnership. If you require more capital, then you can go for partnership or maybe joint stock. And if you are like individual ownership, if you want like something, if you are opening a parlor, if you are just a teacher, you don't need partners, right? You can do it all of yourself. So it's nature of the business, size of the area of operation, how big is your business. Okay, because of that is the size of operation. Then it can be share of capital, capital required can be a reason how much capital is actually required. If it's more, then you can go for partnership. If it's less, you can even do it in sole proprietorship, right? So capital required. Degree of risk is a very important thing. Degree of risk. Whenever you are going for a sole proprietorship, right? It's you. It's only a particular individual who is going to invest, right? He is going to control the organization. He is going to control the business, right? So whatever is the profit is that individual's. Whatever is the loss is that individual's. Here we have got unlimited liability. In sole proprietorship, we have unlimited liability. So degree of risk involved is much more. But in case of partnership, whenever you are going for 2-3 partners, they have a share in the capital, right? They have 4 partners, they have a share in the capital. So their liability is limited to the share of their capital. Limited liability means degree of risk involved is lesser. As well as in joint stock company, you have different identity of the business. Okay, The business has got its different identity, the owner has got its different identity. So if the assets whatever is purchased, it's in the name of the company, it's in the name of the company, not in the name of ownership, right? So if a company, it's the liability of the company itself. Okay, if there is a liability and the company is having the assets for paying the liability, then that is what is to be sold. The owner's asset is not going to be included in the liability of the company, right? So it has got much lesser degree of risk. There are other factors too, size of operation, I said, right? Yes. So these are certain important factors on which you can is the nature, what kind of business you are going to start is actually depending. So this is almost all about the business organization. After this thing, this was the total introduction of business organization basically. After this we can go into details with the sole proprietorship, partnerships and joint stock companies and everything. We can just go into details and then understand the nature, what are the characteristics, the features and everything. Okay, merits and demerits and everything, we can go through that. But this was all about the introduction of business organization. I hope you guys have liked this video. Please hit a like and subscribe to my channel. Do watch the whole video. Okay, it has got a lot of watch the whole video. Please subscribe to my channel. I just need it. Okay, it's a new channel, so do subscribe it. Thank you. Bye bye.